Hi, I'm Scott of Scott's Case Files, and I'd like to give you 5 tips for GMing the Tales from Loop role-playing game. So tip number 1, and it's in the rules, but it really bears mentioning here. It's really important. You need to reinforce that adults in the Tales from Loop game are pretty worthless, except as potentially an anchor. So the anchor is basically something the kid can go to, someone that they can go to kind of, connect with, to tell them about their problems and stuff, and that heals them of various conditions that they have. But outside of that, it's really important to let them know that adults in this version of the 80s, and they're actually the real version of the 80s, this was the era of the latchkey kids, and stuff like that. So I think if you're playing as a kid for the first time, your instinctive reaction is like, "Oh, trouble broke out. Let's tell an adult, or let's go to the police." Well, see, the problem is that once the kids go to the police or an adult, that's when the mystery fun ends for them. If the Goonies had just gone to the police or told somebody, it would have been a really boring movie, and they wouldn't have found the shipwreck, spoiler alert, etc., etc. So it's important that you let them know, like, it's not necessarily that they're bad people, adults, but they can be. They can be jerks. They can maybe just be very self-interested. They just don't have time. They're busy with work. They're dedicated. They have other goals other than their kids. Or they just don't understand them. They're not on a level where they can really get what the kid wants to communicate. So again, it's important that you get them into this mindset where, they go from, "Oh, we need to call the cops. We need to talk to the principal." Go from that to, getting together with each other and fixing this on their own, because the adults won't be of help, and that's so important. Tip number 2, use the nostalgia factor. So this is the 80s that never were. So you can play a lot with a timeline, but part of the fun of this is bringing that 80s nostalgia. When I had my campaign, one of the players was always bringing up nostalgia. What's at the movies? What's playing at the movie theater? What's number one on the top 40s? The Big League Chew was one of the big ones. Stuff like that. Things from the 80s that were popular. The hairstyles. If you're around the 80s, or if you've seen the pictures, the very popular women's hairdo, girls' hairdo, is puffed out beyond belief. And my favorite was the bang curl. If you couldn't get 2 to 3 fingers safely through the bang curl without touching hair, it wasn't a large enough bang curl. Aquanet and various hairsprays saw their heyday in the 80s. That kind of thing. The mullet was big. Sorry, it was big. It was a time. So, bring up the nostalgia. That's built into the game here. So use it, and it's kind of cool. And have a lot of fun with it. And it's kind of cool just to look stuff up. I'm nearing on 50 myself, so I was definitely around for the 80s. I was a teenie in the 80s. So yeah, it's kind of neat to kind of look stuff up, and I totally didn't know that. And then of course you have the young players who weren't even alive in the 80s. That will make you feel old. So for you older GMs who remember the 80s, I'm so sorry. You will be made to feel so old throughout this whole game. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. So tip number 3, remind the players constantly that, GPS and cell phones are not a thing. There's no easy way to locate people. There's no easy way to get in touch with people unless they're by a landline. There were public phones, have a quarter, pop it in, or if you're a phone freaker, look that up, do that kind of thing. Otherwise, one of the tricks for that era is, make a collect call to somebody on a public phone, and then when it'll prompt you, please state your name. You say, "Mom, please keep me out from the mall." And when your parents get the call, hello, would you like to receive charges for a collect call from Mom? I need to be picked up at the mall. So, and then they would not accept the charges and it'd be a free call. But a little trick for you there. But anyway, so yeah, there's no cell phones, no easy way to get in touch with the other kids or family or anybody. So, and that's really cool. But here's the tip within that is, don't let that get in the way of the kids meeting up to start off the adventure. I've often had, where we, sessions where a kid wanted to do a scene like in downtown that day. So yeah, I'm doing this thing downtown. And of course, so how then are all the other kids supposed to get in touch with them or get together? So in that kind of case, my role, the GM, I'd be like, oh, did you guys plan to meet at 1 o'clock at the library or the record store or something like that? And they're like, oh yeah, we totally did. And that's cool because the fun doesn't start until the kids get together to discover the mystery and then go to solving it. So important not to get in the way of that fun start. Because if you do, a great part of your session is going to be all the kids going this way and that and missing each other and that kind of thing. And that's no fun. The fun starts when the kids get together and the mystery starts for reals. So number 4, remind the kids that this is taking place in the 80s that never were. There are magnetrine flying, vehicles, ships, etc. There are self-balancing machines, aka robots, around. And it's, they can be dumb robots or there's maybe an AI, that's that kind of thing's around. Loop tech of various types. That's so integral to the whole thing. Wherever you're basing your campaign out of, the American loop, the European loop, or your own, having all those things present really adds potential to your game and also a lot of flavor. Talk about the, hey, there's a magnetrine shipping vessel going overhead. It's using, it's going across this lake here. And, you look up and, there's this huge thing just floating up there and cruising on by. So remember to add the Tales from the Loop flavor to your Tales from the Loop RPG session. So important. And tip number 5. Don't be shy about putting the kids in situations where they might fail or get conditions, or even let them know that, hey, make this roll, but if you fail it, you will get a condition of this or that. So the kids can't die, but they can gain conditions, and that's all right. It's each condition, of course, is a minus die to your roll, that kind of thing. But it makes things interesting. It from a player perspective, they see the mechanics issue. You get 2, 3, 4 conditions. Things are not going to go well for you. So what this does is it pushes them back into the mechanics, which push you back into RP. So to cure your conditions, you either have to, have a character with lead kind of talk to another character and use that on them, and that'll cure a condition if they're successful. Or they can go to their anchor, whoever that is, and if they have, role play time with their anchor and kind of talk about what's going on, it cures all conditions. And then, of course, there's when the kids get together in their hideout, and this is like the best. This is what this game is made for. These scenes where the kids are in their hideout. When the kids are in their hideout and they kind of talk about their adventure or, talk amongst each other and, share their feelings or whatever, that also cures all their conditions. So the game is pushing you to, when you're hurt, go to the people you trust. That's actually a pretty cool life lesson there. But yeah, so definitely do that. Don't be shy, because yes, it makes it harder for them to do other roles, but it also pushes them towards different sides of RP that maybe they aren't doing, because they have to cure their conditions, do the mechanical thing. So it's a beautiful thing that the system itself pushes you towards RP to make things right. So there you go. So those are my 5 tips for you, and I highly recommend you play Tales from Loop role-playing game, because you're going to like it. It's just a good time. When I originally started to play it, I was a little concerned about playing a kid. That's not my thing. GMing it especially. But it's kind of this cool level of RP. So I definitely check it out. Check out the game. Check out the rules. Watch some actual plays. I actually had my own out. So that's that. So definitely play the game. Check it out. Have fun. And I'll talk to you soon. Again, I'm Scott from Scott's Case Files. Check out my other videos. If you go to my playlist, I do have a Tales from the Loop playlist of actual plays, etc., etc. So check all that stuff out in the link or the description rather. And I hope you have a great day. Take care.